Hello everyone, today I want to show you a really powerful build that destroys GM and express seasonal activities. In this build, you get Transcendence really fast with Lost Signal. Get full Dark Transcendence bar by shooting a single shot, which is crazy to even think about. It has insane crowd control capabilities and basically unkillable even in GM. The footage that you see in this video are solo GM without any artifact perks and expert battleground. So let's get started. This build performs the best by using specific exotic class item role, but I'll introduce some alternatives near the end of this video. So for the build, Tracer with Sotoragony is the role that I've been testing for a few days now, and it is amazing. Sotoragony is the best perk to get the strongest DR buff. By simply throwing a grenade, you'll get lmao for 10 seconds. With weapons that generate grenade energy to spam it, or by having low transcendence downtime, this 40% DR is basically permanent, which is also the best time to introduce the most important weapons that can help doing this. Starting with exotic weapon, the buried Bloodline exotic rocket slam is back again. By killing 4 red bar enemies or an elite will grant Devour, so you'll get grenade energy and have HP by killing enemies. For getting Transcendence really fast, Lost Signal on the kinetic slot is really important in this build. I've shown you how fast you can get Dark Transcendence energy at the start of the video, but paired with Demolitionist and Devour, you can spam even more grenades to proc Sotoragony to get lmao. But both of these weapons are lacking a little bit of damage, so the second perk on the exotic class item is Tracer. By damaging any orange bar or high rank enemies with an ability, you will grant the matching elemental weapons times 4 surges, which is a 25% damage bonus for 11 seconds. This perk will improve the ammo economy of running double special in this build. On top of that, Lost Signal's origin trait, Radiolaria Transposer's pool, benefits from surges as well, which makes Lost Signal to be decently good at clearing ass. This perk performs better as you are stepping into higher end content, as more elites and champions exist to proc this perk for higher uptime. Stylish Executioner will be the best aspect to keep you alive in dangerous situations at GM or Master activity. It will make you invisible for a second after killing enemies with any debuffs on them. Winter's Shroud will slow nearby enemies while dodging, and you'll get 300% class ability regeneration rate by doing so. Not only that, dodging with this aspect will grant 50% DR for about 4 seconds. So with lmao from Sotoragony and Winter's Shroud at 100 resilience, this build already has around 79% DR. So when you have this high amount of DR to reduce incoming damage, if you can make them attack you less with abilities, this is how this build achieves invincibility. For Grenade, Dustfield for slowing and freezing enemies, which provides decent crowd control, and it is able to stun Overload and unstoppable champions while proccing Sotoragony's lmao at the same time. For Melee, Snare Bomb is very similar to Dustfield by applying weaken and disorient effect to enemies when they are trapped inside. For non-boss enemies, they will stop attacking you like a blinding GL. With how many dodges you have and Transcendence to get a lot of snare bombs to throw, you'll have a fun time seeing ads around you just standing still. With these two abilities and aspects, this build has insane crowd control capabilities, but with Tether super equipped, it is even crazier. Trapping enemies inside of its range will apply a 30% weaken effect and suppresses them. Also, they share 15% damage dealt to a single enemy to all enemies that got trapped by Tether. This super pairs super well with Lost Signal, because you can shoot all 6 projectiles into different enemies that got trapped by Tether, and they will all share the damage dealt by it. For Fragments, Facet of Purpose will grant overshoot HP with orb pickup, and it does come up a lot, because this build generates a lot of orbs. Also, it will become a lot better when Revenant comes out next week, because Bungie is buffing Void Overshoot's DR versus combatants in the next episode. Facet of Protection for 15% DR when surrounded by more than 3 enemies. If you have noticed the footage that I've been showing you, I'm always going into a crowd of enemies, so it is very important. Facet of Ruin to increase the damage of Shatter for better act clear, and it can also buff the ignition radius with the second half of Prismatic Hunter's Transcendence Grenade. Facet of Hope for 60% increased class ability regeneration rate. Lower dodge cooldown is able to spam Winter Shroud giving DR and more snare bombs. Facet of Dawn for 5-second radiant when powered melee hits enemies. This fragment makes this build stun all champion types without the help of any artifact perks, which is how I do GM without them in the first place. Most importantly, the 25% damage increase with Radiant is insane if you pair it with Foul Chaser times 4 surges, as you basically have 50% damage increase by simply throwing a Snare Bomb. It will help Lost Signal and the Power Weapon to do more damage. For Power Weapon, I tested with Commemoration and Edge Transit, and they both were great. Commemoration for its insane accurate efficiency and the ability to kill tanky enemies with it. It is basically a beefed up version of Buried Bloodline. Edge Transit on the other hand is able to burst down champions and mini-bosses, especially with Snare Bomb gives weaken effect to the enemy and gets times 4 surges with Radiant at the same time with Foul Chaser. You'll have an insane damage output with Bait and Switch perk on this weapon. For armor mods, Void and Stasis Siphon to generate orbs, Dynamo to get super energy by dodging near enemies on the helmet, Bowstring Detonation and Focusing Strike to get as many class ability energy as possible, a Void Loader to make Buried Bloodline feels better to use on the gauntlet, the usual resistance mods on the chest. On the boost, Absolution with Recuperation to replenish all ability energy and get some HP when picking up an orb, with Isolation for more class ability energy. On the class item, Ripper to generate an orb when defeating an enemy with a weapon after dodging. As dodger's cooldown is very low, this is also one of the main sources to generate a lot of orbs. Powerful attrition to gather surrounding orbs on the ground, and a special finisher to reduce the ammo pressure of running double special. But feel free to use anything else if you are feeling comfortable with double special. For artifact perks, this build will still perform very well without it, but you can make this build even better for about a week before they are gone. Logic Reductor to make the pulse duration made from Radiolaria Transposer origin trait to be longer, and deals extra damage to affect enemies. Overcharged Armory will make Lost Signal always have 25% bonus damage when an activity has any overcharge modifiers. Elemental Siphons will make a Void Breach when killing 3 enemies with Void weapons. Creeping Chill will release a slow burst when killing slowed enemies with Lost Signal. Void Hegemony will grant 15 overshoot HP when killing weakened enemies. With Buried Bloodline, Constant Snare Bomb, and Tether, you can get full overshoot HP very often, even in GM. Radiant Orbs for 10-second Radiant buff when picking up an orb, which is basically permanent on this build with how many orbs this build is generating. Expanding Abyss will make enemies that got weakened receive more damage by Void sources. Shield Crush makes Grenade and Powered Melee deals more damage with lowered cooldown. This is the part that you've all been waiting for, the alternative exotic armor for this build. First of all, if you have any exotic class item that has either Foul Chaser or Soterachny, you can watch the screen right now for other perks that will probably work well with this build. If you don't have either of those, Foul Chaser Exotic Helmet is the closest that you can use for this build. You lose a permanent 40% DR buff with Wolvermail, but you get elemental pickups by defeating marked enemies, which will help out a little bit in terms of ability spamming. Don't worry, even if you lose that 40% DR, when you are stacking up so many DR buffs, you are only losing 8% when you get all the DR buffs running. But you just have to be more careful when you are getting into the loop. That's the end of the video. I hope I didn't miss out on a lot of details about this build. Also, starting from this video, I'll be testing out builds on controller as well, as some of you may think certain builds may only work on MNK, but it is clear to me that if you pilot a build long enough and you understand how it actually works, the input device doesn't matter, and the players whining about it are just bad. Mobile lyrics and dim links are in the description as always. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build, and I will see you in the next video pretty soon. Bye bye!